Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of request. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: company pays much more because it decided to change the system per diem. The second story: Karen confuses us with another restaurant and wanted a dish we didn't have on the menu. The third story: I spent the money on booze, but taught a lesson to Karen who wanted peanut-free sauce. The first story is, no more per diem, no more cheap lunches. Years ago, I worked for a company that was acquired and merged with a much larger company. There were, of course, management changes and policy changes. That's to be expected. We were told that pretty much everything would stay the same for us, though. Health benefits, mileage reimbursement, travel expenses, etc. Well, almost everything made the cut except for per diem. Per diem was easy with the old company. If you spent the night in a city, accounting looked up the GSA per diem rate for that city, and you got reimbursed automatically. All you had to do was present a copy of your hotel receipt, which you had anyway for expense purposes. Per diem for meals, incidentals, and entertainment, MI&E, normally works out to $45 to $55 a day, which is supposed to cover pretty much everything except car rental, fuel, and major product expenses. I like to eat well when I travel, so $55 doesn't always cover my meal expenses. But it's better than nothing and I can afford it. Of course, some of the guys would spend like $5 a day on canned fruit and sandwiches, then pocket the rest. More power to them. During the meeting where they announced the merger, they mentioned the per diem is ending and that all expenses will now be reimbursed directly, meaning that we have to submit receipts for everything that we want to be reimbursed for. This is a huge hassle, especially on long projects with a lot of expenses. It irritated me enough that I asked one of the VPs about it during lunch. Me, so what's with the change in per diem? It's a lot easier to deal with and no one has to keep track of dozens of receipts. VP: I bet you guys like making a few extra bucks from per diem, don't you? Me: not really. Doesn't always cover the full expenses, but it's easier to keep track of. VP: Well, in order to keep expenses under control, we will only reimburse exactly what is needed. This struck me as condescending and stupid. The guys this affected were making $75,000 to $125,000 plus a year. So it's not like we were seriously padding our paychecks with an extra $20 to $40 a day per diem. It also meant expenses took an extra hour per week because of dealing with receipts. Of course, I put that hour on my timesheet as overhead. As part of this stupid policy change, they didn't ask for itemized receipts, just the signed copy, and the limits for meals were quite high. $15 breakfast, $25 lunch, $45 dinner. Looks like I'm about to start eating really well. I normally skip breakfast because it upsets my stomach if I eat early, but not anymore. If there wasn't a restaurant where I could blow $15 on a healthy meal, I would at least pick up a couple of energy drinks and a box of breakfast bars, even if I wasn't going to consume them right away. No more Whataburger or Wendy's for lunch, unless I was in a hurry. Now I'm going to Chili's, Fridays, or any other place where I can spend close to $25 for a decent lunch. Same for dinner. $45 pays for a decent steak and a beer at Texas Roadhouse or Outback. Or I could just sit at the bar, order chips and salsa, then drink $35 of beer and liquor. They didn't ask for itemized receipts, so they would never know. Now they're paying out close to $85 a day just for meals, plus dry cleaning and whatever else I had to buy while traveling. Not to mention the hour or two I have to waste submitting receipts every week. Looks like your company cheated itself, haha, and you got a good meal. If you've ever wondered why hotel room and meal prices are so insanely high, here's the reason. It used to be that everyone on business trips got a per diem. Then for one reason, maybe because people pocketed the difference, or because they spent the extra on drinks, many companies switched to an expense accounting model instead. That way the companies knew the money was being spent on what it was supposed to be. Hotels noticed this and started raising prices. And of course the various companies that sent their employees on business trips had no choice but to pay. But instead of paying about £20 a day for food, of which £5 was banned for alcohol, they had to shell out £50 a day for food. And now the only people who can afford to use decent hotels regularly are those who work for companies who have money to throw away and not think about it. The next story is, Karen's lies gets backfired. Restaurant story. So I had a job at the same fast food restaurant off and on for a total of 5 years. And in these years I've witnessed so many entitled parents and kids and malicious compliance stories that I can write a book about it. I'll start with this one. Some backstory. I started my job the same moment the restaurant was set up, so in these years I got to know a lot about the company itself and knew most of the locations. I also knew that our restaurant was the most north restaurant in the country, and the province next to us, let's call it Province L, had no restaurant within the franchise. Not every employee knew this, but I did. I also knew that when we had new products that needed to get tested by the community, this would be at restaurants in the capital of the country. Capital restaurants. And my province and Provincel were nowhere near these restaurants. Because of my experience and bond I had with employees and customers, the managers knew that I did not need help with crazy customers only when I called them. On to the story. There was a new vegetarian option tested only in the capital restaurants. Not every customer knew this, so when they asked for the product, I explained that we were not part of the test group. I always got a good response to this until this happened. On a not-so-busy night, a young Karen walked in and bolts for my cash register. The conversation went something like this. Me with a polite tone. Welcome to restaurant name. How can I help you? Karen. I want your vegetarian option now. Me. Sorry, miss, only the capital restaurants belong to the test group. Sadly, we don't serve this option yet. Karen screaming. You're lying. I had it yesterday at Provincel, and they told me it was served everywhere, so I want it. And since the customer is always right, you need to serve me what I ask. And that's where I placed my trap card. We cashiers got yelled at a lot, but since I knew that she was lying, or mistaking us for another restaurant and yelling, I decided to play along. Me. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was confused with another product. I haven't had the sandwich yet. Is it any good? Karen. I really liked it and I'm happy that you finally have a vegan option for the sandwiches. We already had that. Me. I see. There's only one problem. You see, I know for a fact that Provincel doesn't serve any of these sandwiches. Even better, none of our restaurants are in Provincel. Karen's face became red, but not from shame. Oh no, from anger. Karen screaming. Don't have that tone with me. I want to speak to your manager. So I called my manager. Trap card activated. You see, I knew that my manager was in the kitchen, out of few from customers, and I knew that when Karen started screaming for the first time, my manager would listen in. Manager with a large grin. What seems to be the problem? Karen. Your employee has an attitude. I want a discount. Me. Karen wanted to order the vegan option that she ordered at our restaurant at Provincel. Manager grabbed his phone and showed Karen the list with all the restaurants in all the provinces. And what a surprise, Provincel was not on there. Manager. You see, it might be the case that you mistaken us with another franchise. In that case, I would not do anything. But since you started to yell at my employee, I would ask you to get the hell out of my restaurant. Or do you want me to call security? Karen's face was priceless. With both anger and convulsion, she stormed off. But not before I told her to have a nice day. Edit. For those who are wondering and asking in the comments, it's not Canada. I was excited writing this that I switched the names of the Provincel and the capital in that province in my head. Haha. OP, you have a good manager. You have a good team. Good job, OP. Reminds me of the time when I met Karen at the restaurant. Karen came to my restaurant one day. I've owned this restaurant for 10 years and sometimes I help the employees because I respect my employees and I have free time. She was immediately rude to my employees, so I decided to serve her myself. She asked for a dish that wasn't in our restaurant. When I explained that the burger wasn't on the menu, she started yelling at me. Karen said she knew the owner, and that I was going to get fired and told me to get the manager. I decided to play that game with her and got her the manager of the restaurant. Karen also started yelling at the manager and now she wanted me to see the owner. I'm here, stupid Karen. I came to her. I saw her red face and introduced myself. Hi, my name is David and I own the restaurant. We refuse to serve you because you're a rude bee. You have to leave this place now. Karen left quickly and I never saw her again. And the last story is, we will take your allergy super seriously. So I manage a busy restaurant in central London. We're normally fully booked weeks in advance, even for Mondays. This was a Thursday and we were jam-packed. I was walking around making sure everyone was having a good time, and one of my waiters, super nice and a competent guy, comes and asks me to take one of his tables. I have a policy that if anyone is giving my team a hard time, I'll take the table so they can stay at the top of their game. He gives me a quick heads up that the issue is a woman didn't want to wait longer for her food, despite having a severe nut allergy, and she was calling him stupid and saying stuff like, maybe McDonald's would be a better fit for you. I go over and talk to the lady. She's part of a group of 12 and right away she's already in my bad books. Are you someone with a brain? I look at her and laugh awkwardly and tell her, some people would argue, but I think so. My colleague tells me there's an issue with your order. Yes, I have a severe nut allergy, and he was saying things may contain traces and would take slightly longer, and asking dumb stuff like are traces okay? I try to explain to her as nicely as I could. Oh, okay. He asked about traces to know if we can use the food that's already prepped. For a severe allergy, we can't use any of the ingredients that were prepped, as there could be cross-contamination. So what we'd have to do is clean down a separate area and prepare everything from scratch. But of course, we can time everything to come out at once so you can all enjoy your food together. And as for the may contain trace, that's just because we don't make all our sauces ourselves. and some items are prepped in a central kitchen, where we can't control. That being said, we've never had a problem with an allergy. She looks at me as though I just slapped a baby in front of her, and says, "So you're stupid too. It's so hard to deal with an allergy. Our company is spending a lot of money here and we booked 6 weeks ago. A restaurant like this shouldn't be so stressful. Can you just make me my food without nuts, and if I have a reaction, I'll sue?" That's when I thought, she's right. So I told her, "You're right. I'm sorry we can't serve you. The sauces can't be made from scratch, and because you're unwilling to accept a risk that's comparable to the risk you would take when buying anything packaged anywhere that says may contain nuts just to cover themselves legally, I'm gonna have to say we cannot safely serve you." To this day, when I think about her face, I smile. She was in shock. She immediately asked to speak to my manager but was out of luck. I told her I was the general manager. Her friends didn't seem to care. I think it was a work thing because none of them reacted. But I was feeling petty since she insulted my team member and then me. So I addressed the whole table and said, "I'm really sorry about this, and I wish we had known in advance so we could have prepared for such a severe allergy. I really don't want this to sour your evening, so I would like to offer everyone a cocktail on us to apologize." They were all really happy with this gesture. I take all the drink orders, and before Allergy Lady orders her cocktail, I tell her, "By the way, we have almond syrup and nuts in the bar, so I would only feel comfortable giving you something closed like a bottle of beer or a glass of wine." It cost me over 250 pounds to give away the round of drinks, but felt so good to give her a bit of karma. The next day I had a complaint on my emails and a bad review of TripAdvisor. Needless to say, I'd do it all again. Edit. I've never had to refuse service before. Most people know when you say may contain nuts, you're only doing it to cover yourself legally in case of something completely random happens. I would bet my yearly salary on my chefs being able to make a 100% nut-free dish. Done it many times before this lady and many times after her, but she was not willing to accept any risk. Plus, being rude to everyone. We have nuts in the kitchen, bar, and in the food of other people at her table, so if she's already talking about suing. I understand the OP. You can't know 100% what the sauce is made of because it was made elsewhere. Karen could have just ordered a different dish, or she should have called ahead. Anybody who acts like she did either had a food preference or a mild allergy. People with legit life-threatening food allergies would understand, and either accept the risk or order something safer. Anyone with serious allergies knows that you have to call a restaurant ahead of time. Karen could have warned the employees ahead of time, especially if their table was booked weeks ago. I often go to restaurants for various meetings for work or to spend time with family. Recently, my friends and I got together to celebrate our friendship anniversary. I had to call the day before and apologize for giving only 8 hours notice, but it was better than nothing. Everyone was happy, me and the employees. I want to add, it was a work meeting and none of her group responded. Chances are they probably have to deal with her crap every day in the office, and are not at all surprised or bothered by the moment. Subscribe, hit the like button, and have a good day.